Hello friend, welcome back. In our previous video, we successfully insert that data in our subject table. So into the subject table, we successfully insert that data, right? And here one things I noticed, you can see into the validation area, I just define our class ID, our subject name, and also here I didn't define our another field. So here our another field will be as a subject code, right? So better go to this texture. And now I just simply define as a subject code. So I just simply define as a subject code for the validation. It should be required and also it should be unique in our this subject table. Perfect. So now I just click on the save all. So here I just simply define our field name as a subject code. So now we successfully insert that data. Like here, if you go to our post code here, I want to define that another one like as a class code. Okay, there is a English. I just define as a Hindi right now. And then I just define our subject code will be as a 202. Okay, so now if you click on that is actually our API subject, and here I define as a post. So now click on the send. Now you can see our subject inserted successful. So that is actually inserted now. So now let's check this out. Click on the browse again. Yeah, you can see there is a class ID 1, there is subject Hindi, and the subject code is this one. And also I have checked it. So if you go to our postman, that is our get. So that is actually the get with the subject. So previously I getting one data. So now if you resend that again, now you can see they have the two data is successfully getting all the things, right? So now I want to first of all show this specific one data. So we have to work in our show method. So now go to our subject controller, into the subject controller, that is our method as a show method. So here we have to get a specific one data, right? So here first of all, if you want to do that work with using that eloquent model, then first of all I take one of the variable as a subject, okay? And then with our subject, that is our subject model, with this model I want to find out a specific one data. For the reasons here we have to define it as a find or fail. I just simply define as a find or fail. Okay, I just simply define as a find or fail method, and then here you have to define this ID. So here I just simply define our requested ID, in particular that position. And after that I want to return it. So I just simply define the return and the response, right? Return response with the JSON. So I just simply define as the return response with the JSON. I just take all that our specific fast ID data and take the things with this variable. And here I just simply pass it. Perfect. So now if you want to check it with our specific one of the ID, like here I just click on the save all, and if you go to our route list, into the route list here you can see there is actually the get with a specific API subject one of the ID. It should be our show method. So I have already defined our specific ID. So now let's check this out. It should be as a get method. That means that is also get method. That is a API subject, and after that here I only want to take our 2 ID data. So now here I define as a 2. Now if you click on the send, yeah, you can see it's perfectly getting a specific 1 ID data, that is actually the ID 2. And then I want to create our destroy method. That means the destroy, I want to delete it. If you want to delete it, I think you already know about it. We did the same things, right? We did the same things in our that area, that means our S class. So it should be just like that same better. I want to copy it. Okay, I just simply copy it, and now in our subject controller, it is a subject controller, that is our destroy method. Here I just simply paste it. So here I define as a DB table. So previously I'm using our query builder. So right now for in our this controller I'm using the eloquent model. So if you want to select it with using that eloquent model, then here you have to define, like I just simply remove it. Here you have to define your model name as a subject, right? So into the subject model, here you have to define that where condition. So here I define our subject model. Into this model I just define where our ID will be matched with our requested ID, then the delete method, and when it should be delete, I just simply define as a return response. It should be display that message as a deleted. Okay, so this type of thing. So if you now want to delete it, then what exactly you have to do? You have to simply run it. Like there is a delete method, there is the API subject, and here you have to define that specific ID, then it should be destroyed, right? So right now if you go here, so in particular that position, that is our API subject, the ID. If you want to delete that specific 2 ID data, then here you have to just simply make the things as a delete, and then if you click on as a send, then it should be deleted. Okay, so right now I have only the 2 data, so I will delete that things later. Now I want to update it. So if you want to work with the update, then there is an update method. Here we have to work. So this update method will be just like our this one, like there is a show. Better I just simply copy it. Okay, I just simply copy it, and here I just simply paste it. So first of all, I just take one of the variable as a subject. Okay, I just simply take one of the variable as a subject, and now with this our model, that means subject model, I want to find out our specific one data, and then I want to delete it. So I just take one of the variable as a subject, and with this subject here I define it should be as an update, right? So I just simply define our update method. It should be updated with our request. So that is our request. So I just simply pass our request and request all. So I just simply define as a all. Okay, so that's all you have to do. And then after that, I want to return as a return response. So here we don't need to use that JSON. So I just simply I just remove it. I just simply define that response, and when it should be updated, then it should be display some of the message as updated. Okay, I just simply define as updated. So this type of message it should be display. Perfect. So friend, I think it's very much clear to you. So now if you click on the save all, I just click on the save all, and now I want to check it is perfectly updated or not. So for the update, what exactly we have to do? For the update, we have to define the patch, and here we have to define our API subject, and with a specific ID, which ID you want to update. So you know that is our update method, right? So now we have to define that part. So now go to here. Like that is our subject specific, I getting all the data, right? So now I want to specific this data I want to update, like in our post, better in particular that position I want to update. Okay, first of all I want to get all the data with our API and then our subject. Okay, I just simply define as a subject. There is a get method, click on the send. Now you can see they have the 2 data in our database table right now. There is a English and there is a Hindi. So I want to update these 2 data. Okay, so here you have to go to our API subject, right? So here that is our API subject, and that is our value. So now I want to update it. So if you want to update, then you have to define that as a patch, right? So you can see that in our route list also they have the instruction you have to define as a put or rather than the patch, and in our API subject ID. So I want to update our ID specific 2 ID data, right? Here I define that part, like there is a 2 ID data I want to update. So I just simply define as a 2, that is a 2 data, and which value we want to update. Like there is our subject name, I also want to update our subject name. Here I define that as a drawing. Okay, I just simply define as a drawing, and here I define as a this code, that means the subject code I want to update as a 303. Okay, so right now I want to update it. And also here I define as a patch, and now if you click on the send, yes, now you can see it's now showing as a updated. So now if you go here, and before that was Hindi and the 202, I specific update our this one, that means the 2 ID data. Now click on the send again. Yeah, you can see there is a subject name is updated as a drawing, and also I updated our subject code, and subject code is also updated. Perfect. So now if you go to our database, database is also updated. Like here if you click on the refresh, you can see there is a drawing is updated, and also subject code is updated. So friend, we successfully complete that portion. So also if you want to check the delete portion, so for the delete we have to define as the API subject and a specific ID, which ID data you want to delete, right? So now let's check this out. I want to delete these 2 ID data. So here I just simply define as a 2. So after that API, then subject, and then the 2, right? And also here I define that delete method. So here I just simply define as a delete. So now click on the send, and for the delete I just simply added that part, like in our subject when it should be matched, then it delete, and it should be delete, then it should be display as a return response with the deleted, right? So now let's check this out. I just click on the send right now. Yeah, you can see it's now perfectly visible that deleted, right? So it's now perfectly displayed. So now if you go to our database and now click on the refresh, Yeah, you can see it's successfully deleted. That means our all that code application for our subject, that means the student subject, is perfectly working. That means our destroy method is working, our update method is working, our show method for finding out a specific one of the data, and then insert is perfectly working, and also in our index, that means read all the data and visible it in our area. So that is our route. So now they have the only one data. So now if you check it, I just click on the gate, send it. Yeah, you can see right now they have the one data as perfectly visible in particular that area. So friend, I think now it's becoming so much easy to you, right? So don't worry, step by step it should be more clear to you. So we have successfully complete our code application for our student class and also student subject. So in our next video, I have to create another code application for the student section. So how can do that work step by step? I will show you that things with a live example. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.